Hi, welcome to How to Repair. Today we're actually doing a video on not only how to enter test mode, be discussing all the error codes that occur on this Beko WMC1282W, but I will also be showing you how to dismantle the machine. And the reason I'm having to dismantle this machine for spare parts is the inner drum has warped. This means that it is actually catching the door seal. If you can see the residue that is on my fingers here, the actual drum is rubbing on the door seal at high RPM and leaving a residue on the actual clothing. Therefore, the only thing that could be done to rectify this problem would be to change the inner drum or the spider, whichever is faulty. But this is another example of built-in obsolescence by a manufacturer. This is basically a 2015 production machine, and I believe they carried on producing these machines until 2017. But the drum is welded, meaning that you cannot split the drum to be able to do maintenance on the machine. So what I'm going to actually be doing at the end of the video is dismantling the machine, because there are a lot of perfectly good components on this machine which will benefit someone along the way. There is a good motor, good printed circuit board, good PCB that controls the motor, and many other components on the machine that can be recycled. So we'll go into the error code system first and the test procedure before we start dismantling the machine. Okay, the first thing we'll do is go into diagnostic mode. Now, the diagnostic mode on these machines is very basic. It only checks individual components. Now, I have managed to get you the workshop manual on this machine and also the error code procedures, and that will all be in the description on this video, which will be a link which will take you to that relevant page. Also, on that same page, you will have any spare parts that I salvage from this machine and new parts as well. So I hope that helps you. Now, to go into diagnostic mode on this machine, you need to shut the door, leave it in the off position, and then you've got the start pause button over here. Press that down and hold it down while turning the knob to the first position, and just wait. You will then get up on the display an E, and if you have got an error code on the machine, this will be displayed at this point. You may have one of multiple different error codes, which I'll quickly run through with you now. E01, NTC temperature related faults. This is the NTC sensor on the heater that tells the circuit board what temperature. E02, heater related faults, and also E03 is heater related faults. This may be the heater open circuit, or you have a problem with the relay on the circuit board or the wiring related to the heater. E04, water inlet valve unable to fill in the allocated period of time. This can be due to poor water supply, blockage in the water inlet valve, or the solenoid has become faulty, or possibly a fault with the circuit board as well. E05 are pump related faults. These are normally unable to empty in the allocated period of time. This can be a blockage on the waste pipe unit if it's connected to a sink, a faulty pump, blocked filter, or even possibly the sump hose has got something restricting the flow of water through to the pump. And I'll discuss all these as we go through the video. E06, motor or control card fault. E07, water level sensor related faults. This is usually related to the pressure switch at the top of the machine, or possibly a blockage in the pipe going down to the bottom of the machine, or sometimes can be related to the circuit board as well. E08 is, I'm not quite sure on this one, but it's water inlet stroke drain faults. No water valve or pump fault. I think this is a general error code which is telling an engineer to look at both systems. E09 is a door lock problem or related wiring. Again, possibly circuit board. E10 is also door lock or control card fault. E11 is motor tacho speed sensor related faults. Again, this can be a problem with the motor, the wiring, the additional PCB that's on this machine that's related to the motor. It could be any one of those faults, and we'll have a look at that as we go through the video. E17, excessive foam detected, and E18 unbalanced load. This could be related to the shock absorbers or any one of these components. Now, what we're going to do is run through the test procedure, and I'll show you how it works and what to look for. It will give you a good indication of what's working and what's not working, but sometimes these are only general test procedures which will activate certain components. Now, they don't give you in the workshop manual the exact procedure for each one, but I will talk you through what I have learnt about this test procedure on this machine. Okay, because I was going through the error codes, it timed out, and therefore we have to enter the test procedure again. So turning it to the off position, holding down the start pause button, turning it to position 1, we will wait. This is where your error code will show up. You normally have to wait 15 to 20 seconds when starting this initially, because it will have to activate the system so that the door lock is locked and everything is in the actual test function, and you'll be able to test that the door doesn't open here as well. Pressing it one time will take it through to, on this machine it's 076, and to be honest with you, I have no idea what this number means, and I would be very interested just for future reference if anyone can tell me. The next is the LED display plus all the LED lights around. You're able to check that all the individual components there are working correctly. Press it one more time and it will go into 004, which is a clockwise rotation, and I believe this is approximately 33 to 45 RPM, as if it was doing a gentle wash. Press it again, 005, and now it will do exactly the same but in an anti-clockwise sequence. Pressing it a third time, it will take it to 006, and this means that it will go to 1200 RPM, but also the pump will be activated, and if there's any water in the machine, you will hear that emptying. There's no water in the machine, so the pump isn't actually pumping out and you couldn't hear it. That will build up to 1200 RPM. It is worth noting, and it's quite interesting comparing this to other machines I've been testing and doing videos on recently with the more modern machines, how much power this actually uses on high RPM compared to the more modern machines. And I must give manufacturers praise on this, because this motor is drawing nearly 500 watts of power. Other machines I've been testing when they're on high RPM have only been drawing somewhere in the region of 250 to 300 RPM. So there is actual energy saving when it comes to the spin there. Pressing it next time, it'll go through to 07. The machine will stop spinning and the one water valve on the right hand side is activated. You have to wait until it stops. Then we'll be able to press it again. This now switches over onto the other water valve. Now if I press it the next time, 09, this is all the water valves activated. Pressing it again, now this on this machine will jump to 11 because there is no function 10 on this machine, and it jumps to 11. And this has already got a certain amount of water in the machine because I was talking, but it would continue filling until it got to 11. And as you can see on the meter here, we are drawing 2100 watts of power, meaning it is testing the heating element circuit. It is not testing the NTC sensor, I believe, because I have done some previous tests with this, and it just times out after a certain amount of time and comes out of diagnostic procedure. So this is only to test that the heater is working, and you'll only be able to see this if you do have an ampage meter, and I will put a link to one of those in the description because I use some portable devices which only cost £10–11 to buy, and they are a real necessity today for testing machines. Pressing it again now, it will go into empty, and it will empty the water from the machine. It doesn't always guarantee it has enough time to empty all the water, and you may have a little left in the drum. So when you come out of diagnostic procedure, do make sure that you put it into the spin mode first and empty, which is spin and drain, just to make sure you've cleared all the water before starting a wash function. Now, if you press it one last time, it will go back to the beginning of the test cycle. Now, to come out of the test cycle, straightforward, all you have to do is turn it into the off position, wait a few seconds, and then you'll be able to select whatever program you want to continue washing. Right, let's take this off the workbench and start dismantling the machine, and I'll discuss each individual error on the actual error codes while I'm dismantling the components from the machine, and this may be beneficial to you. Okay, first thing you need to do is take the lid off. There's 2 screws at the back, and also the back panel will come off as well. Then you need to give it a tap backwards, and that will release the lid. Okay, the first thing we'll do is remove the door. Now let me just quickly discuss the door with you. The door sometimes is built up of separate components, but you normally have to remove the screws. Then you need to put a small flat blade screwdriver in to find where it's clipped together to be able to remove it. But I'm just going to be selling the door as one complete unit. 2 screws for the hinges. Then this will lift up. Let me get the screws out. Lift up and come away. Next, I'm going to remove the actual door seal. Well, not totally remove it. The door seal is no good on this machine because it has been rubbing the inner drum. But I'm just removing this clip. This is the retaining clip for the front door seal. There is one at the rear as well. Now I can peel the door seal back. This will allow me to undo the 2 screws for the door interlock. And then I can slide that out. And that's a perfectly good door lock for someone. And now we'll just remove the bottom plinth here. Should use a flat blade screwdriver, but saves me getting up. And that will come away. Next, we're going to remove the whole front panel here so I can talk through pump issues with you. Soap drawer, press the button, take it out. Now you've got some screws. Couple on the top. And you've got some plastic clips at the top here, which you need to press down to actually remove the actual facial panel. And once you get this out, okay, I'm not going to unplug the wiring. I'm actually going to cut the plugs or the wiring at the plugs, for the simple reason whoever buys this program in future will know if by any chance he's made a mistake and just unplugged it, at least he'll know where the wiring goes. And also, when I'm recycling, it actually is better to have the plugs off the wiring loom, because the scrapyards don't like it sometimes when I've got the plugs on with the wiring looms. And that is a perfectly good facial panel and program, and will save a person a small fortune. Now there's a couple of screws at the bottom here, and I have to press quite tightly when undoing these because sometimes they are corroded. And then the panel will come away. Now I'm going to take the concrete blocks off this drum because I do use the concrete blocks for smashing up and actually putting inside the drum when I'm making things like clothesline holders, and I will put a link to that video up on the corner here for you. Nothing better than having the right tools for the job. It does make it easy. Right, and that's also going to make it easier to show you possible faults that can occur with the pump not emptying. Okay, E05 and E08 is pump related. This can either be a blockage in the filter. This means you may have something around the impeller, or there's blockages of coins or whatever. And the other problem that occurs is small particles of clothing, plastic, baby socks, all sorts of things can actually get into this sump hose. And this sump hose can always be inspected just by removing the clip. And as you can see on the inside of these, there is a ball. This is called an anti-siphon ball. Take that out, inspect the hose, give it a clean up, and then just put it back in. And I can take that hose off now as well. And then I can remove the pump. Give that a twist. Then I can unplug the electrics. We've already tested the pump and we know it's in perfect condition. Although some of these components look a little dirty, they are in perfect condition, and that's a perfectly good pump for someone. And we'll also be able to remove the waste hose. While I'm here, I'll also remove the soapbox hose. And again, that's another clip. That will come away. That drops off the bottom. And then I just need to unhook the plastic off the top here. I should have taken the soapbox out first. And there's the actual top hose. And those two hoses are in good condition. Next, we'll look at the electrics on the motor. There's another printed circuit board at the top here. Oh, but we'll do the pressure switch first. And that is a little tricky to get out sometimes because the clips are behind this panel here. And I'm going to move the camera to show you. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is take the electrics off. Little pin on the top here. You just need to lift and pull the plug away. And then I'm going to remove the hose off the bottom. Now, the easiest way of doing these is with a very, very small pin type screwdriver. Just lift it out on one side, and then there are two clips that you need to press while removing this, and these need to be pressed down. And this is a perfectly good pressure switch. And here is the printed circuit board. This circuit board is basically controlling the motor with regards sending the correct voltages to the motor. It's a common fault for these to become faulty, and sometimes they blow a circuit on the actual board and they can be repaired or replaced. But we know that's a perfectly good board and that only needs to be removed. Then we've got a plug, and that will come away. And then I'll just press that plastic down. And that is a perfectly good circuit board for someone. Just quickly remove the concrete block because we are going to take the drum out. And I'll quickly remove the soap drawer box and the retention bar. Two clips to remove the water valve electrics. And then we have one screw here. Okay, to take these water valves out, there's a button on the side that you need to press down. And then you also need to press where you took the screw out on the other side. Make sure both of them are pressed and turn it clockwise. And then she will pop out. And that's a perfectly good water valve. Okay, next we're going to take the suppressor or electrical filter and the power lead off. Now, for those of you who are not aware of these tabs, if I bring this up to the camera for you, you'll notice there is a pin on the spade connector. This needs to be pressed down to actually release it. Okay, next we'll remove the motor and the heater and the additional components around here. Take the belt off, it's quite simple. Just pull it slightly towards you while rotating it. This belt is a 5 PJE 1244 and that is in excellent condition. So I'll save that for someone. Whenever I'm storing belts, by the way, I always roll them in this fashion. It stops the belt twisting. And then I'll just put a cable tie on just to hold it in place. And that stops the belt twisting. Right, next we'll take off the electrics. Some of these are normal spade connectors, others do have the security tab. Then I'll cut off the 2 cable ties. Unplug the motor harness. This motor actually is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 connections on it. 2 are Tacho, the rest of the fields and the carbon brushes, I believe. These Torx, by the way, are Torx 40s. Just need to undo these. I always use a long extension just in case you slip and you don't cut your hand on any of the edges. This also is one of the motors that actually has 4 bolts on it, which is quite surprising when you consider some manufacturers saving money left, right and centre on components. So there is 2 Torx at the back, and I've had to stick a knuckle on this as well to get in there. I'm going to put an extra extension on just in case anything slips for safety. And then there's one more on the other side. And there you go. You can see the tool that I had to use to get that out. But I did it this way so you can actually see what you have to do. I could have taken the drum out of the machine and then removed the motor. Now, to remove the motor, I use a hook screwdriver just to give it some leverage. Lever it towards me, and then the motor will come away. And there we have a perfectly good motor, and I'll check the carbon brushes after. Next thing we're going to do is also remove the pulley, because I'm very curious to know, as I'm scrapping this machine, what bearings the manufacturers are using. Because when the manufacturers seal a drum with glue, you're unable to replace the bearings. And in my honest opinion, they should be using the highest quality bearings possible. But I suspect that manufacturers are not. And this is due to the manufacturer wanting the actual machine not to last much more than about 7 years, because a lot of manufacturers today are building obsolescence into these machines. Now I'm just going to use a safety here just to hold the drum in place, and then I'll use my impactor. And then we've also got a pulley wheel here. The drum now has gone forward slightly. I can't see any markings on these bearings. So what I'll do is, after I finish the video, right at the end, I'll cut the actual drum so I can remove the inner drum and see if we can find any manufacturer on the actual bearings. Or are they cheap, just Chinese bearings? And lastly, I'm going to remove the heater and the NTC sensor. I've done many videos on these. Just need to loosen this nut off as far as you can, but leave it on the threads. Then give it a tap inwards. Again, sometimes these are very difficult to get out, but I'm just going, oh, this one popped out easy. And that element and the NTC sensor is in perfect condition. Okay, I'm just going to spin the machine round And what we'll do now is take the suspension legs off and the springs to lift out the drum, and then we can actually split the drum to have a look at the bearings. Okay, to take the suspension legs off, we can either undo the clips at the bottom or the top to release the drum to allow us to lift it out, and I'll zoom in for you here. Okay, these can be quite tricky. At the front here you have the pin, and you need to take the pin out backwards. And if I put a pair of pliers down there and try and keep my hand out the way for you, and that is the pin system, and these pins just push in and then spread the outer casing. They are quite difficult to get off. Okay, now I can bring the machine round, lift up the drum, take out the suspension legs, and this will allow me to take the whole drum assembly out, and now I'm able to take the two suspension legs off the bottom. Okay, the top pin on the suspension leg is a lot easier. There's a pin on the top here that you need to press down, and then you've got to lever the actual pin through, and once you've got it through, the suspension leg will come away. Now I'm quickly going to cut the drum in half, and I'm going to do this the easiest way I can, just to get at the bearings so we can have a look at it. But there are people out there who have made videos on actually splitting the drum to be able to gain access to the bearing system and spider, and they actually are managing to repair these drums. But I do not know why manufacturers need to do this absolute absurdity just to guarantee that they can sell more appliances. There used to be nuts and bolts or screws that held these two halves of the drum together, but they don't do it anymore, and legislation needs to change to make this possible, because the manufacturers are removing the right to repair. Now, I haven't done a tidy job on this because I didn't have the right tools for separating it. But what I quickly want to show you is this surface is completely glued. But down here it is very difficult to actually separate because of the thickness of the water duct for the pressure bowl system. But once that's apart, then the drum can come out of the machine. And the spider on that and the bearing shaft are both in very good condition. But I'll quickly knock the bearings out now so we can have a look if they are genuine manufactured bearings from a reputable manufacturer or they're just Chinese rubbish. Now I've had to get my big puller set out because I've been hitting hell out of that and I haven't been able to budge it. So I've set the puller up on this at the moment with a couple of sockets. Now we have the Beko drum here. This drum would cost you £220 or above if you had to replace it. And the reason why the manufacturer welds the two halves together is to stop you repairing it. Now if you look on the screen here, I've actually found the seal that will fit this machine. It is £1.90 to buy, retail. That is the retail price of the seal. A good quality bearing will cost you, for the back bearing, just over £4. The front bearing is a sealed bearing, but this bearing only costs £5.60, £5.70. I'll bring it up on the screen here for you. This means if the bearings were gone in this machine, you would have been able to repair it for as little as about £12 or £13, and that is retail prices. You understand why the manufacturer welds the two halves together, because they don't want you doing this. Now luckily I've got a big bag of spares here that will help other people out in the future with their faulty Beko machine, and these motors fit over 500-600 models, so it will help someone in the future. We have the printed circuit board, the pump, many other components here which are going to help people out, and they'll be on the website within the next few days, and there will be a link in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much indeed for watching. If we've really helped you, remember you can always support the website by clicking on the Bipolar Beer page. And don't forget to give the video the thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you wish. And do remember, you can always help the website by sharing the videos with other people. Thanks very much indeed for watching.